Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the final, well, not the final, the final home game of the season, the final extra time after a game at Goodison. Everton 2, Southampton 0. But that's just the sideshow, really, let's be honest. We're looking back on a day of joy, tears of joy, sadness,
Reflection,
action, yeah.
emotion, everything. That just you'd have been very, very hard-hearted to not be really touched by that yesterday, even if you weren't an Evertonian. I think anyway. Um, and as you said, there was a game of football that happened in between it all, and the game of football just happened to be Everton and Southampton, and Everton managed to win it, courtesy of two really good goals from probably most people's favourite player in Dai. Football, the game itself had a bit of a testimonial feel to it, didn't it? But it was always
It
likely to
effectively
feel like that.
was.
Yeah, it had nothing on it. Southampton were gone and have been gone for a while. Their players are clearly just already on their holidays. Everton, obviously, we wanted to win it. We wanted to end the final game of Goodison with 3 points because it would have felt somewhat wrong, somewhat depressing if we hadn't got the win on the final game. But got it, we did. But again, we're not playing for much other than just to give the fans a really good day because we're not going to get any higher in the table. I think we're on 45 points now with that win, but I don't think we can get any higher than that. I don't think we can overhaul Palace, who've got maybe like 4 points with
No,
two games left.
I think at this stage we can finish 13th at best, which is
Well, yeah, we're guaranteed to finish above United and Spurs and West Ham. Just getting back to Goodison Park and the day. What time did you arrive down there, mate? Did you get there early, or did you leave it as late as you could? Or
I was um I was up there about in the end I didn't get till about it was about 11ish I got up there, and then I ended up just watching it. I went back home and watched it, then went back out again and ended up in town after the game.
I mean, I had a ticket, luckily enough, but I got down there very early. I think about 9 o'clock. I think it was. I was planning to get there earlier, but when I
Same,
got
I
up
was
onto
aiming for an early start, like, but
exact same, I set my alarm for like 7 o'clock, and I was aiming to get down there for 8. But the best laid plans, isn't it? I ended up not being able to pull myself out of bed for until about 8 o'clock, and I got down there for 9 and got in the offie and bought myself some cans of lager, and I dropped one of them. Sadly, as I was buying a match day program, but yeah, I was down there, and the Goodison Road. By the time I got there, let's say about 20 past 9 to Goodison Road. Goodison Road was like it was heaving. You couldn't move. It was so full. I was trying to get from the top of the bottom of Goodison Road where the Holy Trinity statue is. That's the way I come from the train station, and I was trying to walk down Goodison Road to get to Everton One to meet some friends who I knew were down there by the hot walk. And about 20 past 9, I didn't get to the bottom of Goodison Road till about 10 o'clock. It took that long to get through the crowds, and I consider myself lucky. I think I made good time. There were some people who I think had been there even longer and hadn't made half the progress. So more fool me for not getting down there sooner, and not or for not going the right way. But it had like a cup final feel to it. It felt the exact same as when Everton are playing at Wembley for a semi-final, or when we were away in Europe a few times over the last few years, like to Lille. And I imagine what it felt like when we went away to Wolfsburg and to places like Lyon, just these big away days that we don't get many of anymore. It's a shame because as a fan base, we deserve more of these types of days where it's just one big celebration. I know we come together and we unite and we make a great atmosphere when we can, but over the last few years, it feels like we've had to do that out of necessity for relegation battles or just for big games that we really, really don't want to lose, like derbies, or maybe if I don't know, Man United are coming to town after the points deduction. But we need to have more days with just like everyone's just happy to be out. Everyone's just happy to be drinking from early. Everyone's happy to be singing songs. Everyone's having a laugh. There's no anxiety around the place at all. It's just one big happy feeling, and you'd only tend to get that with big European games or big cup games. And sadly, we haven't experienced that over the last 10 years enough. So I really want more days like yesterday, just days where you're really, really glad you're an Evertonian and you're really, really glad to be in and amongst your fellow Evertonians.
yeah, it was brilliant to see that. Like I say, I didn't really get up much there yesterday, so I didn't see probably the best of it. I mean, I didn't even like catch the bus in the end, so I was just up there very briefly. And because the
You
bus
didn't get
even
covered
went.
in pyro then, I take it.
No, no,
I
I was
said
like,
because I did. Yeah, I got covered in the pyro, and I said I got into the game. I went into the stadium about just after 11 o'clock, and again the atmosphere was booming in the stadium in the concourse, and I tried to just take it in as much as I could because I know Goodison's staying open for the women's team, and I do plan on going back to Goodison to see a women's game here and there. I've promised myself I will. But it's still when I do, and if it's not going to feel the same, it's not going to feel like it was when you were going to see the men's team there, like I've been doing since 2003, 22 years, and next season at Bramley Mall will be my 23rd year. But you know, Goodison Park will always be the spiritual home of Everton, and hopefully when we move into Bramley Mall, we can make Bramley Mall the best stadium in the country, and we'll be really, really glad that we've moved and we've created absolutely brilliant memories of Bramley Mall, and we'll never want to leave Bramley Mall. But the same as Arsenal with the Highbury, the same with the likes of maybe City with their old ground, forget its name.
oh,
Clubs
Main
only
Road.
have one. Yeah, clubs only have one spiritual home, and Everton's spiritual home will always be Goodison Park, L4, Walton, the county roads, the Goodison roads, the areas around the places around it, next to Stanley Park. That will always be where that was effectively where the modern day Everton was born. I know we were founded somewhere else, but just that area is where Everton. When Everton eventually, hundreds of years now, ceases to be a thing, if it ever happens, that will be where Everton's spirits goes back to. We don't play our games there anymore, but that will always be where Everton first sprouted, as far as I'm concerned. And it was really, really heart wrenching to leave the place, even though it's for just reasons. So I tried to just take in as much as I could and get as many photos as I could. And I got on the grass. The first time I've ever been on the Goodison Park pitch myself. I got on at the end for a few photographs when the stewards were letting people just come over the white line a little bit, just to get get your last selfies and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a really, really good, memorable day. But it was very hard emotionally. But I'm just so glad that Everton showed the best of itself, and massive pat on the back to everyone who took part in the day, and or even people who couldn't be there who were rooting it on from afar. It's just showed the very best of Everton Football Club and what Everton Football Club could and should be going forward, I think.
Yeah, I felt like we were putting our best foot forward there, and it's like not often we've done that. Like me and you have had so many moans on this about how we never put our best foot forward, but it felt like we did do the occasion justice, and obviously the result as well did the occasion justice. Um, we'll briefly talk about the game because there's well more important fish to fry, but the two goals were well taken as well. And was a man of the match performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it earlier on. I think Ndai is one of the most key players in our team. He's maybe pound for pound the best player in our team. I think the only person who would maybe pip him is Jordan Pickford. But other than Jordan Pickford, I can't think of a more popular player. And rightly so. He's not been at the club long, but he embodies everything an Everton player should be. He's got a bit of class about him. He's got a lot of skill. He can score some really good goals or set up some really good goals. And he's a really hard worker, and he's got the right attitude when he doesn't sulk and feel sorry for himself when things aren't going well. He just never stops trying for the side and never stops trying for his teammates and for the fans. And it just feels like we get a couple of players who come and go at this club who've sort of embody the same values. Before Ndai, it was Richarlison. Before Richarlison, it was probably Cahill for me. For Cahill, it was probably Kevin Campbell and Duncan Ferguson. And before them, you're going back to in further the 80s, Peter Reid, Kevin Sheedy. There's more people I'm probably missing out, but just these players who fans really take to. They're not just players who are part of sides that we love. They're individuals who we really, really like. Like we'll sing their name years after they've left the club, like we do now. We still sing the likes of Fellaini, we sing Aviedo, we sing for the whole '85 team, we sing of Duncan, we sing of Kevin Campbell, as I've mentioned. I think Ndai is on his way to being one of those type of players where he'll be remembered long after he's gone, and it'll be for right reasons. So yeah, the game was what it was. We got the result. I think as soon as we went 1-0 up, it was effectively game over. Southampton were not good. I'll be nice. There's a reason they're bottom of the league, and there's a reason why, unless they get a very, very good manager in and make some smart signings, I don't think they'll be back next season. I mean, if they are, fair play to them. But if they're going to come up from the Championship again, then I think their team needs a lot of work because there wasn't one player out of that team who I'd have taken. And it just made me think again, how on earth did we lose to these in the return fixture 6 months ago? How on earth did our previous manager turn up and manage to get us beaten by this lot? They're absolutely woeful. They don't do anything well. I mean, they try. They're not a gang of divas. They're not like a Leicester where they're just players who think they're better than they are, or a manager who hasn't got a clue, or just a team that's got the recruitment really badly and it's all coming home to roost at once. It was just a team of Championship players who I thought, yeah, like this just feels a bit like a cup game or a testimonial where we're clearly a class above. But I don't want to dig on them too well. Their fans were really, really good and gracious, and so
Classy,
were their
actually, yeah.
players. Yeah, they were really classy, and so were those players. Well, it didn't. There wasn't any moment where one of those players put a bad challenge in or was a bit narky with one of our players. There was no reason to like get on Southampton's backs at all, was there? And I think that did the occasion justice because it wasn't about Southampton or any of their players. It was about Everton, and fair play to them. I wasn't expecting them to just turn up and let us win, and they didn't. They did make us work for the goals, but I think as oppositions go, they were a very, very classy fan base, and fair play to them.
Yeah. They give us a few things to think about in the second half, and I think that gave us an opportunity to showcase Jordan Pickford again because he made a
Yeah,
couple
they
of
had
good
one chance
saves.
late, didn't they? They had one chance, I think, the Cameron Archer late, but that was by that point we'd just taken our foot off the pedal and we were just kind of enjoying the occasion and soaking it in and not really. I don't want to say not taking it seriously because we were. I don't think Moyes would let them not take it seriously, but we were clearly we let ourselves fall back into third gear, didn't we? And I know that's a habit you don't want to see your team fall into, but when you're 2-0 up against the worst team in the league who've got nothing to play for, and the occasion is what it was, it's a massive celebration, then I suppose the players can be forgiven for doing it. So, yeah, the game was what it was. It had a testimonial feel to it. The result was inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, but if we hadn't have won the last game at Goodison, it would have felt it would have felt wrong. It would have felt a
Yeah.
little bit. It would have taken some sheen off the day, I think, and I'm glad we didn't let that happen. I'm glad we sent Goodison off in the best possible manner you could do.
Yeah, no, we got the result. And I think, again, as you said before, everything that came before and after it was done in the best way as well. I think the club showed it, as you said before, its best side. I think the build up. I think there's so much to touch on in terms of the build up for me. A lot's been made of the fans singing "There She Goes" before the kickoff.
Yeah,
I thought that's an excellent move. That
yeah, it was whoever the DJ was, whoever chose the songs to play, got it absolutely bang on because that song captured everyone's mood perfectly, didn't it? And it wouldn't surprise me at all if that song catches on now and we take that song to Bramley Moore with us because yeah, it really captured the feel of just what everyone was thinking and the occasion where people were sad, but people realised it was a celebration. We weren't there to mourn. We weren't that type of side. We were there to just celebrate the natural end of something. Where it kind of feels like yeah we're saying goodbye. This is not oh my god I wish this wasn't happening type goodbye. This is a thank you for everything sort of by we'll never forget you and we'll carry you with us always type of thing. And that song just I think encapsulated everything perfectly. So yeah, I really hope that song catches on and we hear it some more at Bramley Moore and we hear the song singing it because I just think it really really suited Goodison and suited the occasion.
it suits the club as well. I think it's a great song. I think it's a type of song that we should really take ownership of.
Well, yeah, why not? Other clubs do it, and you know we've got anthems, haven't we? But lots of teams just take on famous songs and kind of make it their own, and maybe they twist the words. I mean, the most famous example is what Liverpool's got because "You Never Walk Alone" wasn't a song that was made for Liverpool. It's a 1960s pop song that Liverpool just played, and their fans loved it so much that they took it upon themselves to adopt it as their anthem. And there's other ones as well. I've had a brain
Yeah,
freeze,
I
but
think of like obviously Palace won the cup the other day. They have that glad all over. I love that song.
yeah, that's a very good example. Yeah, I'm sure Leeds have got one as well. I think they've got is it "I Predict a Riot" or something like that by the Kaiser
Probably, yeah. That
Chiefs.
sounds
They've
sounds
got
about
more
right.
than yeah, they've got more. Like there's a lot of sometimes songs just capture the sort of personality of a fan base and the mood of a fan base really really well, and the
There she
identity or
goes.
what.
Gets us. I think there she goes is
Yeah,
perfect
there she
for us
goes
then.
because it's not a fast paced kind of get your blood pumping song. It's just a really emotional sort of like gives you a warm feeling in your heart type of, and I think Evertonians, for all the stick that we get and all the ways we don't help ourselves, we are ultimately warm-hearted people, or at least the nice ones of us are. There's always buttes in every fan base, but I think Evertonians in general are very big-hearted people who just want to feel like they're being met halfway by the thing that they love, and when we don't feel like that, we let it get to us, and we really get upset and wound up. But when we feel like we are being met halfway by the club and the team and other supporters, then it's a gorgeous relationship, and long may that continue.
Absolutely, yeah. I think let's also throw in the fact that the guy who wrote that song's a massive blue and dead supporting Everton's the scoutest thing that you can do. I
Yeah,
think
there's
that
that as
that,
well.
that, that in itself means we need to take that song on. I love that song anyway. So that was a
Yeah,
great. That was great. And then obviously there was a lot of like great stuff in the build up as well. There was there was I think Big
a lot of
Duncan. Yeah,
ex-players come out on the pitch. Yeah, Duncan got on the microphone, didn't he? The Rooney had a little minute where he just basically said, "We've had our ups and we've had our downs, but I'll always be an Evertonian, and I always have been an Evertonian." It's like, yeah, okay, fair enough, Wayne. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't have. I had no problem with Wayne Rooney being there because he was there for his family and his son, because he had his little son with him. So he wasn't just there to kind of hog the glory. Clearly, he was like pushed into going up, sort of thing. He looked like he did look a bit sheepish, Rooney, and
he was pretty. I thought he
yeah, he was
performed
magnanimous and
well.
he
He
was
was very
gracious, and I
very
think
humble.
he was very humble, and I think if that was what fans wanted to hear from him, sort of thing. So it all got a bit like for a bit of a laugh when we were singing "Oh Manchester," but yeah, it was tongue in cheek. That it wasn't meant like nasty. It wasn't a way to kind of get at him. It was kind of like trying to get him to like get in a little bit, wasn't it? It
Like a
was
bit of
meant in good.
banter, really, but
Yeah, it was meant in good spirits, and there wasn't really any down moment. Was that even when they had on the screen they had a lot of people coming up and saying thank you Goodison, and they had a lot of ex-players and a couple of other people as well. Even the one or two people who came up on the screen who got sort of not good reactions, like your Gary Neville's and your Shearers. That was more pantomime than anything. It wasn't like a oh my god, get them off the screen. It was more like a
no,
ooh, go away.
it was like
Yeah,
It was like bringing Bolt out on Gladiators. That
yeah. It was more. Yeah, it was panto, wasn't it? There was no sort of like nastiness involved. It was not the day for that type of feeling at all. It was
not
all
at
about
all.
celebration. It was all about humility. It was all about everyone being friends and being nice to each other. And I think we captured that brilliantly. So yeah, we brought out a lot of ex-players. All the legends, the trophy winners of the '60s, the trophy winners of the '80s, a couple of trophy winners from the '90s, some cult heroes who were really popular with the fans. There's a couple of people who weren't there that I would have liked to have been there, but I'm
Oh yeah,
sure they had the reasons for not coming. But maybe they weren't available, or maybe they live too far away, or they've got something else that means they can't book the time, whatever. Because obviously Arteta is the Arsenal manager, Ancelotti's the Real Madrid manager. They've always got to put their current role first, haven't they? But yeah, it was just a really, really emotional day, and it just felt like everyone was really, really glad that they were an Evertonian or that they'd ever had anything to do with Everton. And that was what I was hoping for, because we haven't had a lot to feel proud about ourselves over the last few years, but it was a day that made you really feel proud to be an Evertonian. And I'm sure in the case of ex-players and managers, it was a day that they felt very proud that they had ever, been at Everton as a player or manager.
absolutely. And I think that's the thing. Like moving forward, that's what we need to be looking at now is to make the club a place where anyone who's associated with it is associated with it with a sense of pride. And what I will touch on is that obviously we spoke about Duncan Ferguson getting on the mic and Wayne Rooney and whatnot, but I thought the best speech of the day yesterday was from David Moyes. I thought he spoke
Yeah,
brilliantly.
yeah, he said some really good things. Like, yeah, let's take this to Bramley Moore. Let's build the club up again. Let's deliver some great times. He said in one of his post match interviews as well. I think it might have been with Richard Keys, where he said, "Today's like today, and this touches one I said on. They make you feel like this club deserves to have more good times like this. It shouldn't take being in a bad situation like a relegation battle or a points deduction for the fans to unite and come together and show a lot of spirit and just a lot of I didn't want to say fight, but a lot of like inner strength sort of thing. It shouldn't take a bad situation for the club to just everyone to rally round and to kind of puff our chests out and go, we're Everton and it's going to be us versus everyone else. It should be a situation where we're going for cup, we're going for trophies, or we're going to win, going into one-off games that we're just really desperate to beat the opposition. And that's basically what he was saying. Come on, let's make these days a regular thing, but let's make them a regular thing for good reasons. And yeah, I think he spoke really, really well. But what did you think of what he said? Anything in particular?
Oh yeah, plenty. I thought like pretty much every sentence that he come out with was the right thing for the occasion. He was saying, the fact that he said like when he walked into the club, it felt broken and it doesn't anymore. I think that's a really poignant shout of his from yesterday. I thought that's something that he's effectively trying to ensure the fan base stays united going forward now, that everyone pulls in the same direction. He even made some weird thing about like everyone wants to get back in bed together or something. He said in that post match presser, and
Yeah. Well, it just touches upon what I've been trying to say, isn't it? That when things are bad, when the club's struggling and things are not going well, people tend to fall out with each other, and people tend to, get irrational, and people tend to say and do things that they later regret, and they realise were not the good thing. And we need to get past that now. We need to bring the club together again, because when we're united, like we were yesterday, we can see how brilliant this club is and how lucky you feel when you're involved at the club and when you support the club. You think, I don't care what we go through. I love supporting this club, and I'm glad I don't support anyone else, and I wouldn't trade swap this club for anything else. They are the type of feelings we need to get back. So yeah, it's what he's touching upon. Let's make those days like yesterday regular things. Let's get that feeling regularly of just everyone loving being an Evertonian and everyone loving getting together and everyone loving mixing and being together in the sunshine and singing songs and having a laugh. Let's have no more people calling each other names and people arguing in the stands and people arguing on Twitter and people sending, abusive stuff to the players and the club staff. I know at times the club really lets you down and you want to lash out. It's only natural, but it doesn't have to be like that. What half the battle is just uniting, and if we unite, we give the club the best possible chance of just being a brilliant club in the future. And if the club's on the pitch doing well, then there's no reason for anyone to get angry and get upset. It gives you all the reason in the world to be happy and to be just everyone united. So yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm repeating myself now, but I hope the point I'm trying to get across is coming across. Let's just be the best version of everything that we can be, and to do that, we all need to unite and not argue with one another.
I think when he said the club was broken, but it's not anymore. I think that's obviously the the new ownership's hopefully going to bring a bit more stability now and a bit less of the chaos that we've seen over the last few years. And fans can do something other than protest, basically.
Fans can dream again. That's all any football fan wants, to be able to dream. There's a reason they say it's the hope that kills you. Look at Crystal Palace on Saturday. Crystal Palace had never won anything in their history, but they had a dream. They've never stopped thinking at any point, you know what, we're never going to win anything. We never can win anything. There's no point us even carrying on here. We're just here to make the numbers up. Now, a lot of other people might look at Crystal Palace and feel that way, that they're just there to make the numbers up and yeah, whatever, they're unimportant. But they don't feel like that. And that type of attitude is what has landed them the FA Cup finally and given the fans the best day of their lives, probably, as football fans. The fact that they were able to puff the chest out and say, no, we're Crystal Palace and we're going to we're going to force people to care about us. We're going to do everything right that we possibly can. And we're going to hope for a little bit of luck along the way because chances are we'll get it at some point. And as long as we do all the right things and we be the best fan base we can and the best club we can, chances are we'll have something tangible come out to celebrate come our way. And it finally happened for them. They had waited forever, not just 30 odd years like Everton fan. They had never won anything. There's no generation of Crystal Palace fans that remembers them winning a major trophy. And look at Newcastle. How long had it been for them? 60, 70 years? There can't be many Newcastle fans alive who remembers what it was like to last win silverware before they won the Carabao Cup a few months ago. So if those clubs can do it, Everton can do it. They've just got to make sure that A, they do things right off the pitch, and B, that the fans unite behind the players and unite behind the club. And that doesn't mean just liking everything that the club do. You can obviously tell the club when you're not happy and make your opinion clear, but make it clear in a constructive way. Don't make it clear by just sending people abuse on social media. Don't make it clear by sending players or your fellow fans abuse or just lashing out or doing something stupid like spray painting on the side of the stadium or ripping things down off the wall or anything like that, or chasing after players' cars after the game. That doesn't do anything. Do you know what I mean? So let's just be the best club we can be and make Everton be a place that people want to come and be part of it and think, you know what, I want to be there the day that they win a trophy. I want to be part of that team, that Everton team that breaks the trophy drought. I want to be in that Everton team that gets in Europe and goes on these mad away days because the fans will just make them so memorable that I'll be so glad for it after I've retired. So yeah, let's just be that type of club we can because Crystal Palace and Newcastle this season, I think, have proven a living proof that if you just get people at the top who make the right decisions or make a lot of good decisions over a length of time, and you're the type of fan base that never gives in, and you've got players who never give in and give it their all, you can definitely still win trophies in this sport. You don't have to be an oligarch club or one of the Sky Six to be really glad that you're a football fan.
I think that it's one of them. It breaks your heart sometimes. I think what seeing that, and I think it was good to see our fan base do a bit of that yesterday because we haven't had that for so long, and it was an indicator of what it could be if if we can, like David Moyes said, if we can harness that and bring it to Bramley more, that we could achieve something far greater than what we've managed over the last 20 or so years.
Yeah, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. It's not going to be easy, and it might be another while before it finally comes. But let's just start on the road to it now. We've got to.
Yeah, and from the way he spoke, it seems like he has a lot of belief in the owners as well, which
Well,
is
let's
refreshing.
hope so. He'll have met them, won't he? I imagine he's had a couple of meetings to talk about what we're doing in the summer. And David Moyes is not typically the most upbeat of managers, is he? When he's talking about the situation for this club going forwards, but hearing him talk a couple of weeks ago on Football Focus when he was talking about how the owners have promised him money, that was one of the most upbeat I'd ever heard David Moyes in all the years that I've been following him. Whether he was manager of Everton last time, whether he was manager of Man United, whether he was manager of West Ham, I don't think I've ever seen David Moyes sound so kind of up for the future sort of thing. So clearly he's been made a lot of promises and he's got confidence that they're going to come through on those promises. And Moyes has shown in the past that if you back him and you let him make some important decisions, that he can repay you, whether that's getting you up the league against the top half, getting you into Europe, and in the case of West Ham, even getting you the trophy. So if Moyes has got the confidence to do it, then I think we should all be confident as well.
Definitely, it was really pleasing to hear that. And then just one last thing we'll touch on before we wrap it up is some of the tearjerkers there, the violin,
Yeah, the
the
violin in the ground. And maybe I was told that it sounded really good on TV. In the ground, it was a bit rough on the ears, but that might have been because I was sat close to the speakers behind the Gladys Street goal. Yeah, that was a tearjerker. Um, the the guy, I can't remember his name now, beg my pardon, but the spoken word artist, the poet who came
yeah,
out onto the pitch, yeah, he had some really good lines as well. Obviously, Duncan getting on the microphone was great. Geffen Jones, who was the TV presenter, who came and was like the host, he did well enough, and even Tony
Evan
Bellew, I'm
Jones
not.
was excellent. I thought he really did it justice.
Yeah, so did I, and even Tony Bellew. I know he's a Marmite figure, but I thought Bellew got through it and didn't give anyone any reason to moan at all. He got into it he got Duncan on the microphone, he got Wayne on the microphone, and things like that. So he did a good enough job as well. There was no reason for anyone to kind of roll their eyes and be like, oh no, don't like this. Do you know what I mean? I know some people are talking about, well, I wouldn't have had this player there, and I wish this player had turned up, but they're probably uncontrollables. Then there's probably a lot of people we would have liked to have been there, but they had good reasons for not being able to get there. And I'm all right with certain players being there if they live locally, and clearly they mean. I'm not going to mention names, but clearly Everton means something to them and the staff. They must be popular with the staff. There's a lot of if you're asking yourself why did so and so get invited, why was he there? It's probably because he lives locally, and it would be a bit it'd be kind of mean, wouldn't it, to not invite them, sort of thing. It'd be like you're shunning them, and that wasn't what it was about. Or they're really popular with the staff. I know Sylvain Distin was really well liked by the Everton staff when he was there. So was Gareth Barry, etc.
Great to
So was
see them. Yeah,
yeah. So was Mark Penbridge. I know I've heard people at the clubs say really nice things about him. So clearly, everyone was there. Who was there for A, because they're loved by the fans, or B, they're loved by the people behind the scenes, and they probably made going into work special for that person, whether it's the dinner lady, whether it's the kit man, whether it's the groundsman, etc., etc. So yeah, there was no reason for anyone to get knocked off by that. It was just such a wonderful, perfect day that it's all the right notes for me.
Now, another sign that the club was healing, I think, like, it was great to see after all the nonsense of the last, like, well, the previous ownerships. Graham Sharp being back was brilliant, but it was great to see Neville Southall back at Goodison, because how long's that been?
I don't know how long it's been since he came out onto the pitch. I don't think he's ever been invited out onto the pitch that I remember. Because I remember I saw an interview with him a few weeks ago where even he said, "I don't know if I'm going to get invited out onto the pitch because I've never had that before." But he got invited onto the pitch. He was, and yeah, I was made up to see him. I
I
was
was
made up to see
thrilled. I
all
was
the
thrilled
85
to see
team.
him back.
I was made up to see all the 85 team that could be there. Was there Andy Gray as well? Andy Gray obviously lives abroad now. Trevor Stevens lives abroad all the way in Australia. He still found the time to come. So yeah, brilliant. And all the stuff about the previous ownership and the previous fallouts and things like that. Look, it's gone now. Those grudges get left behind with Goodison. Let's just go forward now. None of those old regime are here anymore anyway. So there's no reason to carry that on now. They've gone. People we wanted to go have gone. The fallouts can just be forgotten now. Let's just go forward.
And I think that was a good indicator to the players that we saw out on the pitch. It's a sign that, you know, that is being left in the past and things are healing.
Yeah, and it just goes back to what I keep saying, mate. If we just carry on old grudges, if we carry on the fallouts, then that's not going to do us any good in the future. If we want to be the club that achieves things and makes the fans happy, then we've got to be a club that's united. So, more, let's just go forward and let's hopefully the good times are on the horizon.
I tell you what, the noise was unbelievable um, in that game as well. I think you carry like keep that kind of atmosphere up on a regular basis, and I know it's not easy to do that when someone said, "Oh, when you get beat off Fulham at home or something," like. But if we can really try and keep at it through thick and thin, I think that'll be a real. It can almost like just turn your fortunes a little bit, make your own luck almost.
Hopefully so, mate. Hopefully so. As I said, there's no reason to be down going forward in the future. Let's just be up. Let's think positive. Let this be the birth of a new Everton. All that Everton that or Everton always messing up. Let's leave all that in the past. This is a new Everton now, and Everton that does get lucky, and Everton that does believe it can do things, and Everton that is going to do things, and we've all got confidence they're going to do it.
Yeah, one more game to go this season, and then we can look ahead to hopefully getting ready for the future. Really, so that we ended the home season on a high and ended Goodison on a high, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. I think we left, as we've said many times in this one, in every sense, winning the game, the celebrations, the atmosphere. We put our best foot forward yesterday. It was, as you said, the best of Everton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll leave it at that anyway. But of course, you guys watching, make sure you let us know your experiences of yesterday, everything that you enjoyed, everything that you did, your match day rituals that you might have done for the last time, everything that made yesterday great for you. Get your comments coming in. Give this video a like and, of course, subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in on the Toffee Blues.